When I was an amateur, and this is typically a big part of the generational amateur scene, Cincinnati, Ohio in general had some of the best fighters in the amateurs, but a lot of them didn't pan out as pros. Yes, you got Aaron Pryor, you got guys like Buster Douglas for a little while, and maybe one or two others in those prior generations. But for the most part, until this generation, they typically didn't pan out as pros. It was a lot of discipline issues. Even in my generation, there was a lot of very good fighters from Cincinnati, and they didn't really pan out. Ricardo Williams Jr. being the biggest name. I mean, the biggest name out of all those guys. You know, so typically Ohio used to develop some really nice prospects, really good young fighters, man. But they also came with a little bit of an undisciplined manner of living, and the pros that typically catches up to you. This generation, it kind of changed a little bit. I mean, we still see some of that undisciplined fat nature, but they've kind of broken through and become champions. Guys like Adrian Broner, maybe even Robert Easter, the Band Came crew, Rashi Warren, all became world champions. So they sort of broke the mold. But you also they also put more of a spotlight on themselves, and you can kind of see when you put the spotlight on those guys, you know what happens with guys from Ohio a lot of times, because you know Jake Paul, ladies and gentlemen. Jake Paul is from Ohio as well. You know, we got to mention him. But to tell you the truth, I think that you sort of see the microscope when these fighters were able to push through into the big time, like Broner, or Warren, and Easter, and you started to see some of the reasons why the guys like them before earlier generations didn't break through, because these guys were able to break through but still had discipline issues or public life issues, right? And they were still not able to get the best of themselves, because I think when you look at Broner, Easter, and Rashi Warren, although they had solid careers, you almost get left like thinking you were going to get more or wanting more, because they had so much talent, right? And that was sort of the issue with the prior generations, and even the generations during my generation and prior as well, for Cincinnati fighters. I saw guys like Ricardo Williams in my generation, Ron Seiler, Broderick Harper, I remember, was a good Cincinnati fighter. They didn't really pan out as pros. And so again, I think it boils down to a lot of outside the ring issues for these guys. I don't know what's in the water down there, but they get themselves in a little bit of trouble, or they lose their focus in the pros. And in the pros, you need extra discipline, because the pros, the fights are longer, more damaging, and you're just going through more pain, you know. And eventually that catches up to you.